Hello, everyone. It's good to be back here again in front of all of you lovely, um, what was it, guys? Um, Keyboard warriors that we are. So I hope you guys brought your key magic with you because we're going to go over a very, very interesting video that we ran into. And we really need to react to that video because this video dropped a day after my birthday, you guys. I think L Ron Hubbard really thought to himself, I should really give Serge this gift. And even though it came right after my birthday, it was a belated present that I'm sure L Ron Hubbard made specially for me. And the video that we're going to see is a video that hasn't been seen by a lot of people, you guys. So you're going to be the first ones to see it, and we're going to react in real time together um, to another one of these Scientology PR people. And we're going to actually, as you see in the title of our live today, we're going to actually dismantle the gaslighting tactics. And since we did catch one of these Scientology executives speaking about what they do, we are going to push back on what they're talking about. And before we get into the video, I wanted to read you these this note from the therapist Nate Postlethwaite. I think that's how you say his last name. Nate Postlethwaite. And there were these three specific quotes that I thought were very good for all of us that are in this community, of survivors, of people that have been through toxic relationships, of people that have been through extreme trauma, including like childhood trauma and all of that. And I found these quotes really useful, and I wanted to go over those with you guys before we got into the Scientology video, to really ground ourselves into what we're going to look at. And he says, when a child is parentified, they become adults who feel overwhelmingly responsible for everyone's well being except their own. The lack of freedom to be a child links their identity to a coping pattern of meeting others' needs because they never been taught that their needs matter too. So I wanted to start this highlighting this quote because it cannot be overly emphasized the amount of trouble that the Scientology protege consenting adults that love L Ron Hubbard, that love their little hotel environment, those adults that self-infantilize and that adulticize kids end up with kids who, end up feeling like their needs don't matter because they have to be servicing adults. So we really want to sit here and wonder and question ourselves in this year 2023. In what literal living hell of a world are kids being told that their needs are nothing anyone should give a flying F about? But do go service the adults inside the hotel. Go see what they need. And the reason this is important to understand is because there's plenty of kids that were abused ad nauseum inside of those hotels. that leave and don't have any worth for themselves anymore. And G, we wonder why. Well, for the simple reason, you guys, that if nobody had ever shown them that they were worth anything, if their entire life was tokenized, if they were told they were nothing more than whatever they could produce in a statistic, according to L Ron Hubbard, you're worthless if you're not producing a statistic. And all the Scientology adults love it like that inside the hotel. They love telling kids that their lives could be not more worthless than the statistics that they're not providing. They send children to get punished because, this week you didn't produce enough. This week you crashed your statistics, is what these adults tell the kids. Oh, you're a stat crasher. You need to go wash dishes. And next week, you better produce statistics. You better ensure that you're pulling your weight, because we as the executives are sick of having to bypass you. Imagine that, you guys. Imagine you are that unhinged, that deranged, and that entitled to be throwing your weight around as a full-grown adult inside a hotel, speaking to kids, telling them that they're worth nothing. But, a lot of people want us to cradle and canoodle the adults, the protege adult consenting adults that love L Ron Hubbard, that love his policies, that love his genius. It would be great to find out what kind of genius L Ron Hubbard was in this year 2023, because I would love to start hearing from some of these adults that were so all about it then, to double check if they should have really been that all about it. Because the corruption lies right there, you guys. As much as there's been a whole lot of hoo-ha of these adults saying, I left the hotel 5 years ago. Aren't I such a great person? And how long were you at the hotel, ma'am? Oh, I was only there for 35 years. And what have you done since you've left the hotel? Oh, I just nothing. But I'm not part of them anymore. I'm over here, and David Miscavage is a really bad person, and he really was abusing a lot of adults. Imagine that's what Debbie Cook is saying to herself today, you guys, as she cashes another check for the last month of November. She just now cashed another check to keep her big mouth shut about all the kids she was trafficking for herself inside the hotel. Not for David. We were slaves for Debbie Cook. We weren't slaves for David Miscavige. Okay, guys? So Debbie Cook, as much as she spent all manner of time blabbing about how she was like Little Miss Goody Two Shoes when she was inside of those hotels by herself, without David anywhere around, because David was traveling the world, and Debbie Cook was doing the dirty work herself with her sleeves rolled up, is what they said, these people. Oh yeah, let me just roll up my sleeves. So imagine that all of those kids that were abused are now out there in the world thinking that they are worthless, that they screwed themselves up, that they weren't good enough to be in the Sea Org, that they were just something wrong with you, is what these adults were selling the kids that were not, bringing in production. And the reason that matters is because all of those kids of said parents are petrified of said parents. And the reason that matters is that none of those kids can have a voice in the conversation of what in the hell is going on inside of those hotels that needs to be changed, that needs to be stopped. This subject about what goes on in these hotels is purposely been made complex and confusing. And you know what? It isn't. The last thing that Scientology is complex or confusing. It's a dumb operation. It's a hotel operating with unhinged writings of a disgusting felon that was, for whatever in the hell reason, granted some sort of immunity under this guise of like, yeah, First Amendment, write whatever in the hell you feel like writing on a piece of paper, and then all of a sudden it's going to be very legal. In America, that's how it works, apparently. In America, you can write whatever in the hell unhinged, unlawful thing, like lock up a kid in a room, call it audit, don't let the kid leave. If he wants to leave, hold him against his will, falsely imprison him. So for all of you, Scientology parents that did take it upon yourselves to send your children up the bridge, please explain to us, the kids that were locked up against our will inside of the hotel, why that was taking place on a daily, weekly basis. And once the Scientology parents can start explaining that, because we must amplify the voice of the parents and the parents' personal involvement in the situation, you guys. As much as everyone wants to oversimplify the situation and be like, oh yeah, as soon as we get David Miscavage behind bars, everything is going to be great. And you know what? If that ever even happened, David Miscavige being behind bars, guess who would not be any safer the day after he goes behind bars? All the kids that are locked up in the hotels with unhinged child traffickers of their own, glorified child traffickers, is what these executives were. Executives what? Is the euphemism they use to glorify themselves into these positions where they gave themselves the ability to recruit, groom, and exploit commoditize children at an industrial size scale, because in America, apparently you can do that. And you can get away with it. And as of this year, 2023, they are still 1000% are getting away with it. The next quote, when a scapegoat heals, abusers and enablers are desperate to control the narrative. Gee, I wonder who is desperate to control the narrative. Abusers and enablers. They are afraid they'll be treated how they treated others. When a scapegoat gets free, they want peace, not revenge. But note, even in someone else's healing, the guilty only think of themselves. So shout out to you all, the guilty, the consenting adults that are guilty of signing up your kids to be pawned off inside of a disgusting Clearwater, Florida hotel, where you all knew exactly what in the hell was going to go on, since you all were so firsthand familiar with the policies of L Ron Hubbard No. So shout out to my parents right there who were 1000% aware of what was in store by pawning me off at the age of 14. Shout out to you too, who made a deal with Debbie Cook. And then all of a sudden, poof, we had all manner of adults paying thousands of dollars for my time as a child, locked up inside of one of those disgusting hotels, being video recorded, being watched by Richard Reese, being watched by Karen Thompson, being watched by Debbie Boykin, being watched by Debbie Cook, being watched by Yvonne Gallerhouse, being watched by Sean Carino Smith, being watched by Christine Owens, being watched by Jana Fair, being watched by Angie Trent, Claire Headley. Oh, but it was all David Miscavage's problem, you guys. Oh, David Miscavage is the boogeyman of the world. The women I just named were firsthand witnesses of all the disgusting depravities that they normalize be done inside of the hotels. They're called Scientology audited sessions. But yeah, nobody wants to criticize that. Nobody wants to get into the weeds of that. But you know what? Where in the hell is Shelly Miscavage? Can we really find out? And when y'all find her, can you ask her why she approved my CSW to graduate the RPF in 1998, full knowing, since I'm the one that sent her my RPF CSW with boxes and boxes and boxes of worksheets written by a self-admitted, you know exactly what in the hell I mean. So as much as everyone wants to cradle and canoodle Shelly Miscavage, she is first-hand knowing, got full banker's boxes like this, you guys. 15 banker's boxes. Imagine how many interrogations I had to withstand as a minor in the hands of a you know exactly what, self-admitted, locked up for 2 years. So imagine that the narratives are not being controlled now. Our abusers and our enablers are desperate to control that. And they're afraid that we're going to treat them how they treated others. Imagine that. We're asking for accountability. We're asking for transparency. We're asking for what was done to us was not a good idea. So maybe let's just stop all of that happening to kids right now as we speak. That's all. It's literally all this conversation is for. Because if we want to do something about what happened to us, all we need to do is ban Scientology from being applied to anyone under 21 and under. It's that MF simple. It's that easy. No ethics handlings get done on kids. No sessions get done on kids. No courses get done to kids. And all of you adults that love whatever in the hell L Ron Hubbard pitched, go do whatever in the hell it is that you think you need to do to go free. Watch us not give a single shred of an F. Go. Lock yourself up for as many hours as you would like to consent to do. You see, that's what America is allowing you to do. If you're an adult that wants to involve yourself in that and you consent and you sign all the contracts that Monique Jingling puts in front of you, and you renounce all your civil rights and everything else that you get told to sign, yeah, just sign here, sign there, whatever, just sign the agreement. For all of you who were signing that agreement, there's very bad news. that agreement is something that y'all need to now go take to a lawyer and check what in the hell you signed. But bringing the kids to that hotel where you were all getting off is not acceptable, is not defensible in any possible way, and is simply not the guilt or the shame of the kids that you were exposing to your disgusting, depraved role-play sessions that L Ron Hubbard did pitch for you to do. You know, guys, it's like, I'm so tired of these people saying, oh, it's like just like a therapist. Like, imagine you have a child therapist. Like, I wish it would have been like therapy. You know what you can do in therapy when you don't like something? Walk out. You know what you can do in therapy that when you literally don't want to ask something disgusting, you can set a boundary. So for all of you who keep saying that audits and sessions and therapy is just the same thing, it couldn't be more diametrically opposed. Audits in Scientology happen under coercion and undue influence. And how in the hell these adults and Scientology parents and Scientology executives see not a shred of a red flag in locking up kids against their will is beyond us. By all means, make it make sense. By all means, just explain the auditor's code. I promise never to let a PC end the session on his own determinism, aka I promise to lock up someone against their will until I decide they can leave. We're looking for peace, not revenge. We're looking for ending the use of unfettered access of children. Once again, is that too much to ask? Is that too much to ask? Just literally stop employing kids in those disgusting hotels. They're not suitable for children. We would know. We were exposed to that. So in what world are we supposed to play dumb today so that you can all be cradled and canoodled and just, oh, you know, we were just really not know what in the hell we were doing. You knew what in the hell you were all doing. That was the pitch from L Ron Hubbard. So there's a lot of adults that need to start going to the adult mirror and looking at themselves in that mirror. And if in that reflection you see any trace of L Ron Hubbard, you got a lot to worry about. When you start actually looking into your past, when you actually start coming clean, I mean, as if you didn't drill that in the hotel, you guys. All of these ex-Scientologists know exactly what it would take to shut down the operation that they were a part of. All it would take is an OW write-up. Time, place, form, and event of every criminal act they committed inside the hotel. And this time, instead of sending it to a hotel, take yourselves to the FBI Crimes Against Unit building, and instead of saying OW write-up, put affidavit on the top. Make sure you write time, place, form, and event of the criminal activity that you were all perpetrating and laundering for yourselves inside of the hotel. And write down every instance of every minor that you exposed to do that for you. That means you, Debbie Cook. You write down every name of every child you employed for the 17 plus years you were there running that hotel for yourself. And miss telling us anything that David told you to do, because we don't give a shred of a literal F. All we care is about what children did Debbie Cook take for herself, to abuse for herself under her own supervision, under her own hotel, under her own prison guards, since that is the two-tier system that we have in Scientology, you guys. Turns out that the prison guards are out there with money deals, getting paid to not talk. And also the prison guards are out there not going to therapy, because who needs therapy when you were a prison guard? You know, you can get over whatever you did. And what about the prisoners? What about the child prisoners? So there's a lot to unpack there for people that are trying to not stop what was done, and not in the name of revenge, in the name of responding intelligently to unintelligent treatment. That's all that's being asked of all of you Scientology people. That is literally all that is being asked of you, to double check the policies that you're following, to double check with an attorney if it's in your best interest to check your critical thinking skills at the door every time you go inside the hotel. Check that real quick. Double check that with a good criminal attorney. Check, is it in my best interest to just enter a hotel and then all of a sudden my critical thinking skills are null and void because I'm going to get in ethics trouble? I'm going to be sent to a 15-year-old to ask me if I'm masturbating thinking of them. Check that really quick, because, you know, if you check that and you find out it's not in your best interest to be part of these hotels in any way, shape, or form, maybe you can start making different adult choices. And that's about all the compassion we have for the adults. Maybe make another adult choice. Maybe that is part of your adult thing to do, right? You make a choice. I want to be part of this. I don't want to be a part of this. But kids don't have a choice. We didn't have a choice. We want to understand now in this year 2023, why in the literal hell we were locked up doing what in the hell you were having us do. We didn't know what in the hell we were doing, but we did it anyways, because y'all said, this is what you really want to do. This is really going to help somebody. We weren't helping anybody. Every last child that's been trafficked inside of the hotels has not been helped, has been enslaved. When someone wants to pitch us in this year 2023 why slavery had anything to do with supposedly setting a planet free, that's what you call in Scientology, you guys, a contrary as fuck fact. Just contrary as fuck, could not be more diametrically opposed. So yeah, we really want to help the planet. Let's enslave a ton of children. Make that make sense for us, Marty Rathbun. Make that make sense for us, Debbie Cook, Mike Rinder, literally all of you executives. Make it make sense, because it's not making sense, you guys. We need to pull the string when shit does not make sense. We need to get to the Sherman tank. We need to get rid of the paperclip withholds y'all keep peddling out there, so that your little images are, you know, laundered yet again, because that's all you guys ever do. Launder people's images. Go inside that hotel. Have you ever committed a felony you haven't been arrested for? Is what you were so interested in asking. And then all of a sudden, needle floated, money got paid, you're all good. Just, you know, go live your life. So we want to really understand how that works, because right about now, it is not making any literal sense. And you know what would start making sense is if y'all started repudiating it for real, by actually confronting what the actions were that y'all did that resulted in the hurt that you haven't apologized for. You get how that works? You don't apologize, you don't redeem. You don't come clean, you don't redeem. You don't say what you did, you don't redeem. You don't confront, nothing changes. Literally, per L Ron Hubbard, right? Like, the truth is not as sizzing, you guys. The lie, the problem is still persisting AF. Because yet we are here in this year 2023. Everything you guys hear on SPTV on a daily basis that's being done to a child is being done to another one, is being done to another one, is being done to another one ad nauseum. No one inside those hotels has critical thinking skills. So can we be a little bit more outraged about that? This is not a drama competition and popularity competition. Who gives an F? Get the damn kids out of the hotels. Get to the Clearwater police. Start knocking on the door. Start asking them why they're playing dumb full time. Go to the LA police and ask them also why they are playing dumb full time. As if we haven't already been here on YouTube, literally spilling our guts, bringing receipts, showing the textbook where it said, lock the person up. Who gives an F? This is a technology. Technology that is also a theology. So is it a technology or a theology? One or the other. If it's a technology and it's ruining every single person's life that it comes across with, well, maybe we should look for flaws in the technology. Maybe we really should look at L Ron Hubbard, and maybe we really should confront who that disgusting pig is once and for all. And then everyone can start putting real distance between their actual choices that are being guided by that man, given that all of those choices are dead, disgusting, degenerate, inducing from hell. So there's no more image laundering services. There's no detergent that can wash away the stench of L Ron Hubbard. All of you parents that trafficked your kids to Debbie Cook, all of you parents that trafficked your kids to Dave Pettit, all of your parents that trafficked your kid to whatever in the hell executive you trafficked your kids to. Go have that conversation with them. Miss us with that conversation. Literally. My parents can go look for Debbie Cook in Texas. That's where she is cashing her checks. So go talk to Debbie Cook and ask her, what in the literal hell did that woman really had me do for her? And really start explaining it, and explaining it well and without misdirectors, without half-truths, without telling part of a withhold but not the rest. Because that's all we're getting here in this whole Scientology thing, that the truth doesn't get confronted. Everyone plays dumb and kids get abused. That's it. And end of story. There's nothing else to say. So y'all can keep it complicated, talk about it ad nauseum, where's Shelly ad nauseum, disconnection ad nauseum, and children are still being audited. Children are still being sec checked. Children are still being put on courses to drill with dolls to normalize the most abominable, disgusting things. Why in the hell are children being drilled with dolls to partake in the role plays that go on as so-called sessions? Because that would be another great question for the Scientology parents to start typing up. Not for David Miscavige, for the Scientology parent community. Y'all are in a bucket of your very own. Because you know what? It's like David Miscavige, Marty Rathbun, Debbie Cook. The only reason these people abused us is because y'all gave us to them. So we don't have a problem with you, Debbie Cook. I have a problem with my parents. My parents have a problem with you. So you, Debbie Cook, and my parents can have a little side chat, call some lawyers, discuss, do some real Google research and see child trafficking. Oh, look, we did bring him from Mexico. Oh, look, we did tell him to lie at the immigration office. Oh, look, we did, take him out of school. Oh, look, we did lock up his passport. Oh, yeah. Look, passport locked. Oh, look, we should just call. Hi, this is Debbie Cook. Can I speak to an attorney? Yeah, if I brought kids from all over the world to my hotel, and if I lock their passports up, is that gonna put me in any kind of criminal situation? Or the fact that we were calling it religion, then you can lock up whatever the hell you want, right? I mean, do we have laws in this country or do we have nothing? Do we literally have nothing, you guys? Because right about now, that's kind of what it looks like. We have nothing. We have paid a ton of lawyers to literally do whatever in the hell they write in those papers to convince themselves that a fraud that would expose kids to this level of depraved, unfettered access, indefensible AF, since everyone inside the hotel knows what's being done to the kids, guys. Like, this isn't like the Boy Scouts where everyone was off, tying knots, and then a few people infiltrated and did shady stuff on the side. This is all our parents are implicated. All our parents were part of this conspiracy. They have legal exposure. In what world do they not have legal exposure? In what world do you bring your child to a hotel, pay to put him in harm's way, and call that, oh, I'm going free. I'm really getting off on that. I mean, I'm really going free. Torturing kids isn't going free, y'all. You're not going anywhere if you're torturing a child, if you're exploiting the naivete and the gullibility of underage teenagers that are malleable AF. Like putty in y'all's hands is what the hell we were. But you know what? We're not putty in y'all's hands anymore. Today, we are adults in adult bodies with developed adult brains that now are connecting dots of all the shit that didn't make sense about all that torture and trauma that you all contributed to be. So, but yet we still see no accountability, no real coming clean of anything, you guys. The children still being abused today, and talking points that are very self-serving. Narratives that are curated AF. So, hi guys. It's reality is what it is. It's reality. And you know what? We're not here to cradle and canoodle a reality that isn't. We're here to take a stand for the most vulnerable in that hotel, which, again, those of us that experience this abuse as children understand firsthand is the children. There's nobody more vulnerable that is stuck inside those hotels today, guys, than the children. And I don't know how many more stories can we put on SBTV to make that case. Literally. Because this problem is systemic and institutional. And that's why it's absolutely unacceptable that nothing is being done to stop it, to make it stop. Like literally no more kids inside of those disgusting auditing sessions. They weren't therapy. They were depraved, unhinged, indefensible, gross AF, like projectile vomit for the next 10 billion years is what it would take to get the toxicity of the level of unhinged gaslighting and manipulation taking place inside of those so-called audits. You guys, and I would know, I was an auditor since age 12. Imagine that. So here we have Anna Sineva of Scientology, that after you guys digested exactly what the problem is with the kids, we want to continue deconstructing all the PR narratives that are used to camouflage what it is that these people actually believe and how they become fully cognitive dissonant, almost on command when they speak to the outer world in an effort to hide the perception of what they have normalized for themselves inside of those hotels. So let's take a look at this. And this is Anna Sineva, the Scientology video.
I did.
Okay, good.
Well, I better not say anything stupid.
It's okay. I'm famous for that sometimes. Welcome, Anna Sineva. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Scientology. You're in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us today. It's nice to talk with you.
Likewise.
I would like to start with a brief explanation from your perspective of what Scientology is. Now, some of the students are aware of Scientology, a little bit, some more than others. So maybe we could start there, and you could give us some insight from your perspective.
And just to give you guys a bit of context again, because I forgot to tell you. So December 4th is when this was posted. It had 90 views by the time I found it on YouTube. So I think this is pretty fresh. This channel has almost no followers. I think this guy, from all I could tell, was like someone in Canada. And I mean, I guess he's, recording this thing, and I guess they're talking, he's doing a class on Scientology with his students, which I don't know if that means like, if this Scientology safe pointing itself into a university and using university faculty to prop itself up, because you know what, we haven't really seen any PR agents, really taking it upon themselves to discuss a lot of the Scientology stuff. So that was kind of like the first thing that struck me as weird about this girl, because I was like, why is Washington, D.C. talking to this Canadian school? Like, it doesn't really make sense. And usually Scientology doesn't talk to people unless they feel comfortable talking to people. So it feels like this is an effort for them to kind of safe point themselves with universities and to do that kind of thing, which, if you ask me, this is so dirty. The fact that, you'll see.
A brief explanation from your perspective of what Scientology is. Now, some of the students are aware of Scientology, a little bit, some more than others. So maybe we could start there, and you could give us some insight from your perspective.
Sure, I will, and stop me at any point with any questions. I'm happy to make it a little more interactive. Don't want to just talk at you.
No, it's okay. We'll ask questions. I'll save them for the end. I don't know what I'm doing this. Nobody sees me.
Okay, good.
Leave the questions for the end.
There's also a warning. I have a weird motion sensor in my office. So when I sit like this and I talk for a while, it might go off. So if like suddenly I go like this, it's not because I'm particularly weird. It's because that's the way my light works.
Okay.
Well, or if it suddenly gets dark, that's why.
Right.
So I will make it brief, and then again, we'll just get to the questions. So Scientology is a modern religion. It's recognized in many countries, and our members currently exist, I believe, in about 120 countries. It's growing, very, very fast growing. It was.
So right away, guys, right? Like nothing like a pitch that relies on growing, modern, and all of these euphemisms being used to describe the thing that they're hyping up. So I just want you guys to remain aware of how whenever you ask about what is Scientology, all you could ever get is a hyped response, because the adults, the full consenting adults that participate in it, cannot actually, in fact, admit to what they are actually agreed to do behind closed door for themselves inside of the hotel. And while that might be so boring to all of us, because who in the literal hell cares what these adults think is so hypey and great and wonderful to all be part of, the fact is these people then expose the kids. And there is no way in hell that a child can consent to the level of extremes that these people are into. And already you see from this girl, she's gonna explain everything else but what Scientology actually is. Scientology is a room where an auditor, the so-called savior of the planet, the so-called L Ron Hubbard protege, will lock themselves up in a room with someone else, strap him to a machine where that other individual is not going to be able to move whatsoever. Like, you cannot move your feet, you cannot move your hands, you literally cannot move. You are literally in a straight jacket. Now, yes, you can move everything, you have to ask permission. So there is you're bound to that machine. In what world can you strap a child to a machine where they cannot move? In what world can that child then be asked depraved, disgusting, unhinged questions that are none of any disgusting adult's business? And then on top of that, they double down and triple down, telling the child, this is for your good. This is going to help you so much. You have no idea how much this is going to help you. So, yeah, Anna, that's what we would be saying to you right now if you just gave us this pitch of us. It's a religion. It's a this. It's a that. There's a thing that L Ron Hubbard taught us, the investigators. Okay, you guys, and it's called look, don't listen. So Scientology is a building. The biggest center is a hotel. Just looking. Now let's go inside the hotel. What's going on? People are locked up in those rooms, including but not limited to minors. And they cannot move, and they're strapped to those cans for hours on end. They cannot say stop. They cannot say enough. They cannot say I'm done. The more the child hates it, the more they double down. So that is full-blown torture, what in the hell they're doing. But of course, Miss Anna here is not going to go, oh yeah, we really torture kids inside of our commercial buildings and hotels. Of course, they're saying, yeah, it's a great religion and new religion and all of this and all this hype. So it's a very glib pitch, and we're going to continue perforating all the holes of this hyped up stuff that Miss Anna's giving here.
First registered in 1955 in here in Washington, D.C., and that's where it started growing further. We are most prevalent in English-speaking countries because that's how it all began, but currently we exist around the world and speak multiple languages. Most of our basic fundamental books are translated in about 18-20 languages, and some are in 50 languages and more. So it's a growing religion, growing movement. I use the
growing. It's a growing religion. It's a growing movement. We were told that ad nauseum when we were stuck inside the hotel, you guys. Oh, we're moving, we're expanding, we're doing this and we're doing that. We weren't moving. The movement was never done to expand or grow. It's a movement that targets people that they can exploit. Adults and kids. Now, the adults sign up to be exploited. The adults sign up to be abused. L Ron Hubbard tells them this is how you're going to get abused, but you're going to be helped, but you're going to get abused. but you're going to be helped, but you're going to love it, but it's going to be abusive, and you really just have to do it and love it. And you know what? A lot of them do love it, you guys. I mean, you could see some of the success stories that they come up with. So
The word religion, understanding very well that there is multiple connotations of this word around the globe, but I'm using the definition of religion that's most broadly recognized around the world and is used in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and the way it is understood in the US, where honestly freedom of religion is respected the most in the world.
in the US, freedom of religion is respected the most in the whole wide world. Aren't they in luck, you guys? I mean, the US is so respectful that they would prop up a hotel chain that takes it upon themselves to recruit minors, call them volunteers, lock up their passports, bring them from other countries, interrogate them ad nauseum, ensure that, no one is going to miss them on the outside world once they are abducted inside the hotel to work in there. Because don't forget, you guys, I was not missed outside in the world. No one filed a report for me being missing as a child, having left 7th grade in Mexico and then being transported across state lines to end up in Florida to be locked up under Debbie Cook. Scientology considered me very qualified to be abducted. Scientology considered me very a great prospect to make this appear. No one's going to miss him. No one is going to give a literal F. So we can do whatever in the hell we want with this kid. And again, we're not seeing that from Miss Anna Sineva about explaining Scientology, because all they do is talk about, yeah, it's a very religious experience. Well, and the declarations of human rights. In what world are kids locked up inside of a hotel? And human rights is part of that context. Because we would love to really hear how Scientology is the literal definition of human rights, as she says here. I mean, literal spokeswoman of Scientology from Washington, D.C., you guys. And Miss Anna doesn't seem to be an American. Isn't that interesting? Washington, D.C. without an American. Let's get into more of what she said.
Without going deeply into theology, right? Like every religion of the world has this one component that is important to everybody who affiliates themselves with it, is the component of faith. What do you believe? Because you can get into philosophy and theology and how the world was created, and every religion has that, an element of philosophy that somebody else can study without necessarily becoming a member of that faith. But the faith component, what do you believe? In many religions, answers differently, like what would happen to me after I die? Okay. And what happens in the afterlife? Some religions believe in heaven and hell, some believe in reincarnation. And how does that, if at all, impact my actions here and now? So in Scientology, to be very simple, we're closest to Buddhism in that way. In Scientology, we believe that we come back and that we lived before this life and we will live again in another life.
Imagine having the level of cognitive dissonance, you guys, to really be telling you what I told you just now. This woman, along with her posse, is 100% all about locking people up against their will and call that therapeutic. But she cannot take the word religion out of her mouth because she, oh, we're so close to the Buddhists. We really believe we reincarnate. Oh, who in the literal hell cares what adult people believe? We don't care what any of you want to believe, and we're not here to intervene in whatever disgusting, crazy as deranged, whatever in the hell you want to believe. It's not a problem. Have that belief. But once again, if the beliefs call for all the boundaries, the common sense boundaries to be eroded, and then you have children at scale being exposed to that level of erosion of boundaries of any common sense. We're not talking, guys, like, oh my God, it's child abuse, guys. It's like, are there really 50 shades of gray when it comes to abusing children? Is really what I would like to know. It's really, really what I would like to know. Can it just be like up to just somebody's opinion, or, locking a kid up against their will? In what world can 50 people have 50 different opinions about what that would be? It's one of the few things that I can think of, guys, where I think that, we should all kind of see it all the same way, because especially if you're a grown-ass adult, it should be up to you to have the brain power to, have that level of common sense in you, have that level of humanity, which is what gets stripped of these people, you guys, when they go inside those hotels. They are dehumanized. This woman here is been dehumanized already. She's a programmed robot. All she's talking about is, again, it's like she's just teetering in that level of cognitive dissonance. Right now, she's comfortable explaining religion, but you're going to see later what she gets into.
We're not using the word reincarnation because, again, the word reincarnation has 50 different definitions around the globe. And
You guys, in what world does the word reincarnation have 50 definitions around the globe? I mean, literally, like, these people, like, they cannot help themselves. Like, I thought reincarnation was that you died and then you reincarnated. How many more 50 ways can you understand that? Oh my God.
we just don't want to produce any kind of confusion. But typically,
they don't want to produce any confusion, guys. Okay, well, I'm glad that this is just so clear now.
a Scientologist believes that the soul is immortal and would live again and again and again. So the way it translates into our practices during life is that we feel that by working on ourselves, by improving our ethics, our discipline, our understanding of self, we could perhaps have a better choice at the end of this life about how to come back, where to live. I wouldn't pretend.
So they are very pressed about how they're going to come back and where they're going to go and all of that. And they did bring the word ethics, guys. But again, Anna Sineva of Scientology, we would love to hear from you. We would love, love, love to hear from you how children are being exposed to Scientology, meaning ethics, meaning courses, meaning sec checks and audits. If you are doing that to kids right now and you are ignoring that there's any problem with that, you're ignoring that it's in any way, shape, or form inappropriate, when it's matter of fact, utterly indefensible. There is no defense for what gets done inside of those auditing sessions to kids, you guys. Period, full stop. And a lot of you in the chat are parents. You would know, there would be no way I could pitch this to you as a beneficial thing. I already told you, Like if the first beginning of the premise is the kid is locked up against their will, they cannot get out, they get told that everything that happens in that session, they cannot tell their parent because that's their own case, and don't talk about your case, and your case is very bad to tell anyone else about. And they're basically like doing this disgusting, masochistic, sadistic AF exploitation of children. What world are you going to inhabit, Anna, after having done that? You know, because if you're gonna talk about ethics, start with those ethics. The out ethics that all Scientologists share in common. The exploitation of kids in horrendous ways. Because I don't know what karma will do to you all once you are aware enough, once you stop playing dumb about how you really have it all going on and it is all so great and aren't we so wonderful? You know what? You're not so wonderful if, again, you're abusing kids. You're disgusting.
Particularly be fond of, being born in North Korea next lifetime. So in part joking, but it is actually kind of what Scientologists believe.
Did she just say she wouldn't want to be born in North Korea, you guys? Okay. So Anna, you're already part of literal North Korea in the United States, but you wouldn't want a next life be born in North Korea. I mean, I think that was a Freudian slip of her, guys. Because in what world is she bringing up North Korea as a bad example of what she does to people in the United States in the modern world, right? Because that would be a good thing for you to ask yourself, Anna.
Believe that we do live again and we will live again. And if we work on ourselves and we engage in enhancement of our spiritual power, I guess, by studying philosophy and looking for better ways to apply it in life, and by receiving one-on-one spiritual counseling, that we could be in a better shape to make a better choice and have a choice about how to come back.
And this is what's so sad, right, guys? Because it's like, oh, the one-on-one counseling that we're going to really have. And going back to the narcissistic AF culture that we come from, we did that disgusting counseling. We thought we had something no one else had. And especially as kids of this bullshit, we had no point to compare anything else. So we were thinking we were so elite and we were so special and we were so wonderful. And the waking up process, guys, has not been easy, as you guys have all seen already, as you've all been hearing from all of these survivors coming and telling their stories of what was done to them as kids. Realizing the level of betrayal and how this woman is speaking like this, like there will be a day where she won't be able to spout that out. Right now she can. But you can even see like she's smiling and she's looking weird. She's uncomfortable. She's not comfortable. She's in total cognitive dissonance land.
Sure.
And yes, you were going
Well,
to
I was
ask.
thinking when you're talking like, what drew, I know you in your biography there, that brief biography, you wrote that you grew up in a family of Scientologists, and
Mhm.
accepted, I became a full-time Scientologist at 20. What was it that drew you to this religious tradition, this way of looking at life?
I had two entrance points to it. My parents introduced me to Scientology when I was a little kid.
So just more proof, guys. More proof that who is staffing these hotels and commercial buildings as of the year 2023? Bingo. The kids of the parents who are normalizing this for their kids to be a part of. So we're going to hear from her story and how she pitches it, and how she really took to doing Scientology.
Mhm.
They didn't introduce me to the faith or religion component of it. They brought me into like the philosophic aspect of it, which
I love how Scientologists can try to sound real intelligent, you guys, but she's not saying anything. They didn't bring me up to the religious, but they brought me in from the philosophic. Like, what? What in the hell is she talking about? Like, what philosophic? What religious did they not bring you in?
we do a lot. We have a lot of it. Scientology is an applied religion, and we have a lot of philosophy that can be used in life, and we have it in the form of courses that you can do addressing human relationships and marriage and ups and downs in life and how to set goals and stuff like that. And when I was a kid, I did a few courses. I did a communication course for kids. I did a course on learning how to learn. They were not religious in nature. They were just like philosophy that I could use in life. I found it super helpful. But
And again, you guys, the philosophic, like she's giving us the pitch that she did all these courses as a child. Because we are so sick and tired of telling you guys ad nauseum that our parents were putting us up to this over and over and over. That children were being exposed on a daily, weekly basis to all of these courses. And you know what doesn't make it okay? That it happened to one child. It would have been bad enough that one child was exposed to the scourge of the disgusting role plays that L Ron Hubbard wanted adults to help themselves with. It would have been bad enough one child got exposed to that. But these parents thought, well, you know, since all of these kids are doing it, then it must be safe for all to do. So that's never good to be a sheeple, you guys. If there was anything that any of us have learned in Scientology, is that sheeple is stupid. Don't be a sheeple. Don't be dumb. Don't just be dumb and dumber and then double down on your stupidity, because that's just doing nothing for you. So have critical thinking skills. Do look at what in the hell is in front of you. Don't buy the pitch from the intellectuals speaking in these languages and putting the pretty girl in the front lines of the PR to really make us look like we know what in the hell we're talking about. This girl's trying her best. And, you know, the funny thing, guys, is like, you know, I do see, like, if you're not in Scientology, you don't know what in the hell she's talking about. It's very hard to be critical or be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I think people are trying to be respectful, but she's going to get some questions. Let's see what it says.
wasn't particularly seeking anything spiritual. And also, you know, when your parents are trying to impose some kind of view on you, I don't know, I got very rebellious and I didn't want to be involved. But then
See, that was good, guys, because we see some of her authenticity came up there. You know, she was being rebellious because parents were imposing something on her. That's how the drill went, you guys. Our parents were unhinged, relentless on their pitch. Do Scientology. Scientology is the solution. Scientology is what's going to save you. Scientology. Like, literally, you couldn't shut them the F up. So even some of us that rebelled at some point, they always wore you down. We didn't have the brain and the intellect to withstand the intellectual abuse that was being perpetrated on us. I mean, the easiest way I can equate it to you guys is like, imagine your parents are full-blown crack addicts, but then they give the crack to their kids because they're like, oh, I love it, so they must love it too. And as a child, you don't know what in the hell is going on, and you are not loving it. And your brain is getting fried because you don't understand what type of cognitive dissonance is happening to you as you keep getting pulled into these disgusting rooms where you're going to get interrogated, locked up. You can't tell anyone what they're doing to you, what they're saying to you. They're, stealing you from your parents, but then your parents are putting you there. So it's not stealing, because it's not like you're in danger. You're told that this is the most safe thing that you could ever do. And it's the most abusive, most disgusting thing. But how, as a child, we were supposed to connect those dots back in the day, when our very own grandparents were part of this? Some of us, like, I'm third generation, so I saw my grandmother, right? It's like, and again, it's like all of these kids' loyalty and affinity to their parent gets sucked up. And that's how they get seduced into being like, well, my parent cannot be a bad person, so they couldn't wish me bad. They couldn't put me in harm's way, full knowing. That's very hard for you as a child to have to reconcile, that your parents were going to put you in harm's way, that our parents were happy to do so, that our parents got off on it. Imagine, your parents literally got off on that level of control, that level of like commoditization. Like, because as kids, we were 100% dehumanized. I mean, we've heard, like, Mike Brown sleeping in a floor with cockroaches crawling all over around him, Laura completely neglected, Jenna the same, me the same, parents that locked us up for days on end on rooms, telling us to tell them how we were in treason, like children being told that they're treasonous. Like, I was probably 6 or 7 when I first started doing treason conditions, you guys. Like, what kind of adult tells a child that they're a treasonous person and get out of the lower condition? So take that into account.
I would say that I've made a lot of choices in life that I regretted. And I didn't particularly take a horrible path. On the contrary, I was like a all A student in school. I graduated with all A's across the boards. I was able to get government tuition and go to law school. And
she went to law school, you guys. And what's so sad about this is that, she was on the right path. Her intuition was leading her right. She was correct to be like, what in the hell are my parents pushing on me? And that's really what's so sad about this, is that, no child stands a chance to really outmaneuver the Scientology parents. And Scientology parent is a special breed of parent, you guys. And we can say that because we would know. We can say that is because they were all applying the same 1950s policies to run their life. I mean, imagine the patheticness of that. Instead of evolving, you're choosing to go backwards. You're choosing to be fixated on an unhinged, disgusting man that wrote some disgusting, depraved thing. But, as long as they're all doing it, apparently it's all Gucci. So let's just think about that for a second too.
I did it, and I loathed myself and I loathed my life. I hated all the choices I was making because I felt like I was doing it to make somebody else happy and not me. Like, I couldn't not get an A because that would be embarrassing and it would be horrible and I would disappoint everybody. And I, at some point, found myself constantly anxious and worried about the fact that the biggest motivation in my life is not to disappoint somebody. And it's just as depressing as it gets, because if you're living your life to the fullest, you are gonna make somebody happy and you're gonna make somebody unhappy. There's no way around it. You can't please everybody around you. And I felt like being a people pleaser was like the only thing I was living for. And
imagine Being a people pleaser, you guys, is all Scientology ever was and is. Being a people pleaser. This is a hierarchy of people pleasers. At the very top of the food chain is who? Our favorite shortest man in the whole wide world, David Miscavige. Right? But then who does David have underneath him? This one here, that one there, this one here, that one there. And all of these people are all people pleasing this entire thing all together. They're people pleasing all here. No one can have a different opinion other than L Ron Hubbard. Their big reason that they're so powerful is because they all believe the same thing. I mean, imagine being so pathetic and dumb to really sign up to believe the same thing that everyone else does. Imagine that. Imagine that you will cut yourself off from all sources of knowledge in the entire world and you will only listen to one single source. And then imagine not doing a shred of due diligence on who the source is. Come to find out the source is an indicted convicted felon that was on the run from the authorities. That's the source that you decide to really come in and advise you on all things your children. Imagine being that Scientology parent. What kind of mother would really do that to their kid? What kind of mother goes, oh, there's an convicted, indicted felon. Let me hear how I should raise my kid. Give me some advice, convicted, indicted felon. I'm sure you have great ideas. Because I would love for my mother to start connecting that dot for herself. I would love for my mother, the one that spent my entire childhood pitching L Ron Hubbard to me, telling me to learn all these definitions that were garbage, that were stupid euphemisms to replace real words, so that when my mom and my dad were abusing me, it wasn't abuse. They were just, administering an OW write-up is what they would call it when I was locked up for 3 days. It's not abuse. You just did an OW write-up. What's your problem? You ended up in ethics trouble. That's your fault. You're an adult in a small body. Why don't you take more responsibility? Why don't you start making life of your parents not bad? Why do you create so much deaf tea? Why are you such a degraded being? Why are you so out of balance? Why are you always in a lower condition? You're in a state of confusion. You're in treason. You're full of OWs. You will never make case gain. I mean, imagine those were the words of our parents, guys, when they were getting our ethics in. Oh yeah, let me just straighten out this kid by dehumanizing them. What kind of adult reads on a piece of paper, dehumanize someone, say disgusting things to them, and say, oh yeah, that's going to be very beneficial for them? Because that's what's making not a shred of sense today. Sadistic practices imposed on children are not beneficial or helpful. Write that on your notes, Scientology parents. Put that down on your notes and then scribble 5 times in red that line. Sadistic exploitation of children is not acceptable.
And I went to law school and my family was happy and proud and I hated it.
Yeah.
And I went into like a dwindling spiral of depression. I started ruining relationships in life. I fell out with a few good friends, childhood friends, just because I started loathing myself. And usually when you loathe yourself, it kind of seriously translates into how you treat other people. And so I found myself in a really, really horrible place. I didn't like, go do party and drugs or anything, but I just found that I absolutely don't know what I want with my life. And I can't live my life just to not disappoint somebody. And so then I remembered that Scientology as a philosophy that I used as a kid had some answers, and I thought that maybe I should just give it a try. And I went to the organization. There was like a seminar, and I did find answers that immediately right there helped me kind of troubleshoot my life. And
Can you imagine, guys? This smart girl that already told us she was rebelling against her parents shoving Scientology down her throat has a crisis meltdown after going to law school. And her solution is going to a seminar where she really hears all she ever needed to hear. Imagine that those seminars, you guys, were done by people that completed a 2-week course inside of a hotel. What kind of really great information can anyone tell us here you would get from a person that completed a 2-week course inside of a hotel? Because I cannot think of a single thing I would want to hear. If you came today, I'm sorry guys, and maybe that's just me now, but if you came and told me, Serge, I just completed a 2-week course inside of a hotel and it totally changed my mind, I don't want to know what you learned inside of a hotel for 2 weeks. I simply have no interest or care in the world what you could have learned in 2 weeks in a hotel.
and I did it myself. It obviously it took some time to study some more, to work on myself, to fix relationships that I've ruined. It's not like a 5-minute thing. You just fix it and it's all good. But at that point, I knew where I was going, and it hasn't changed for me ever since. I know where I'm going. So that's why.
Oh, that's good. So maybe you could talk a little bit about.
She knows where she's going, guys. So hold on to your seats. It's all going to be okay.
So when a person becomes interested in Scientology, what do you do? What do they do? I know there's a center in New York, and I guess you have satellite organizations or places around the States and elsewhere. So what do they do when they become interested and want to pursue it? What's the path?
Because we live in the modern age, and my organization took the full advantage of modern technologies, and you can, if you want to talk to a real person, and that's the best way for you, and you just want to chat with somebody and have a real person advise you and guide you, then sure, just find the closest church to you, walk in, we have an information center and people can assist you right there. But some people prefer to do it on their own and hesitate and not go to talk to somebody right away. Totally fine. I would advise to go onto our website, which is Scientology.tv, because we have a TV station.
Uh-oh, guys. Scientology.tv, not to be confused with SPTV. We now have a competing interest here. SPTV or Scientology.tv. Which channel would you guys tune into? SPTV or Scientology.tv?
And that channel is regularly updated. It has a section with a short video clip that summarizes each of our fundamental beliefs and doctrines and those pieces of technology, of philosophy, that we call it technology because it has
Philosophy we call technology, but it's also theology, you guys. So they cannot literally get their pitch straight. Do you do technology? Do you do philosophy? Do you do religion? Why do you have a hotel? What technology is being delivered inside of a hotel? And who delivers that technology? People that complete 2-week courses? That's all it takes? Like in 2 weeks, you're done. You guys already know.
practical application. How to improve relationships, how to set your goals, and all of that. All of that is available on the website in the form of videos. There's also some excerpts from Scientology lectures there on the website. And then there is also, just for your own curiosity, satisfaction, there is multiple videos giving like a tour, an inside tour of our organizations, and you could watch that so that you know exactly what to expect when if you decide ever to come into our church. You'll see a video of what it looks like on the inside and so forth. And also,
Imagine, guys, that all these people ever did, the only magic trick they have was making videos. As long as you see it in a video, then it must be true. As long as we show you a video of what we want you to see, then it must be exactly what it is that you're pitching. I mean, I literally kid you not. That's how these people do think.
so there's multiple video interviews and short stories about our members from around the globe, so you could also watch that. So I would strongly advise starting with a website, and it has all the tools there. Also, we have some online free courses, like on the subjects that I mentioned.
Oh, good, you guys. We can do free online courses for Christmas. Anyone that wants to do an L Ron Hubbard course, so you really can be told how to set a target for yourself, because L Ron Hubbard has a lot of really good things to say about that.
Study skills, communication skills.
Communication, you know, how to desensitize yourself from literally communicating with another human, how to dehumanize yourself to be a better communicator. That's the course they taught us, you guys. Imagine that. Imagine dehumanizing yourself to have better communication skills. In what world does dehumanizing yourself make you a better communicator? In this world where it's all just perceived perception, they just train and drill talking points, blah, blah, blah. We're religion. We have a philosophy, a technology, a communication, a course, a this, a that. Around the world, all our members, everybody does it. We're all everywhere. We're worldwide. We're a growing movement. And it's all just a pitch, a pitch, a pitch, a hype. It's all just hype, hype, hype. Hip, hip, hooray.
Helping somebody who has a drug addiction, overcoming ups and downs in life, overcoming stress. There's like little snippets. They're online courses that you can do. They are
Overcoming drug addiction by, you know, getting yourself help by someone that completes a 2-week course. I mean, go pay the people at Narconon $30,000 or $40,000, because, you know, in 2 weeks, they do really learn all the most important things in the world that could cure you of your drug addiction, like she just said.
interactive, but they're like, there's little quizzes that are immediately graded on the computer, and you can just do it all off of that website.
The students look like mad bored, guys. Look at them. They're like, oh, good. Look at this guy with the red shirt putting his little hand up. Let's see his question.
We all know that one of the most famous members of Scientology is Tom Cruise. Personally, mine, but I won't brag. You think that that helps the church to promote its ideas and to kind of encourage people to look into it? I mean, there's others besides Tom. But, you know, is that something that's very, because you have the opposite. You have people who are not happy sometimes. We shall not speak their name, but I think we know who they are. So,
oh, we should not speak their name. Would that be who? Leah Remini? I mean, guys, the fact that Scientology cannot be discussed without bringing Tom Cruise's name should really say it all. Literally, I don't know. Oh my God. Just, we do need buckets so that we can throw up in the middle of some of these segments, guys, because it's just
sometimes go on a crusade against because they're unhappy. The two that dichotomy between someone that's very enthusiastic about it and everything, then you have somebody that's, how do you deal with that thing I guess you're in public relations, so how do you deal with that kind of two different perspectives of Scientology?
That's a very interesting question. So specifically on Tom,
yeah,
He is not an ambassador for Scientology. Obviously, he is affiliated with us.
Oh, he's not an ambassador, you guys. Breaking news. Tom Cruise is not an ambassador of Scientology. He's just one of the people that, helps himself to, hotels staffed by children. Yay, breaking news, guys. Never thought that here at SPTV would be breaking such level of news. He's not an ambassador for the brand.
And very well known for it, but he is not taking on the role of promoting Scientology particularly. It's just known that he is a member, but he is not like a member of our management or anything. He's just somebody who is extremely prominent and out there, and he's phenomenal human.
He's extremely phenomenally out there. He definitely is out there, actually, Anna. With that, we fully believe Tom Cruise is out there, you guys. Breaking news from Scientology's mouthpiece, Miss Anna Sineva. Tom Cruise is out there. He is out there. He's not an ambassador. He's not part of management. So all of you relaxed, all of you that were wondering, and him and David are, no. Dave, he's just out there, and he's very much out there.
Humanitarian and so forth. But I would say that
he's a humanitarian and so forth. I love that description for Tom Cruise, guys. So who is Tom Cruise? A humanitarian and so forth that is really out there, but he's not an ambassador of Scientology.
That having members that are so prominent that backfires as much as it benefits, because obviously his name being such a big deal, anybody who wants to get more likes to their story online, they would make it as controversial as possible and plug in Tom Cruise's name. Then it, gets circulated by the social media algorithms, picked up a lot more.
Oh, guys, this has been an algorithm thing.
So his name gets thrown around for no reasons at all sometimes. And that's the downside of having members like that. But he's phenomenal.
That's the downside of having members like Tom Cruise. Oh, my God. I mean, this is actually hilariously dumb. And just knowing how Scientology executives watch PR and what you say, you guys, once Miss Anna is caught, if you guys blow up this video, she will be in severe ethics trouble. Do you have any idea what type of ethics trouble? She just literally canceled his big awards by saying that he's not an ambassador. And that, sometimes members like him cause more trouble. I mean,
Phenomenal person who
seriously, this is a lot. I even think I have to rewind this. Let's really replay this for 1 second.
get more likes to their story online, they would make it as controversial as possible and plug in Tom Cruise's name. Then it, gets circulated by the social media algorithms, picked up a lot more.
Mhm.
So his name gets thrown around for no reasons at all sometimes. And that's the downside of having members like that. But he's a phenomenal person who does a lot for charity, and we're proud to have him. And I seem to see a hand there in the audience.
I'm proud to have him, and let's get that hand that's been there for the last 20 minutes, this poor kid that's been ignored, and let's get off of the Tom Cruise train wreck that I just literally gonna get my head literally decapitated as soon as this information is actually known. You guys, this is what you call in Scientology black PR. This is what you call in Scientology glut PR. So when you're gluts PRing, meaning that you're saying really horrible shit about your own organization. So she just gluts PR'd Tom Cruise by saying what a nuisance he really is. Having this big platform, because, you know, all Scientology ever gets out of it is people plugging his name for the algorithm. Because, you know, nothing like just writing Tom Cruise on the algorithm for all of a sudden what? I mean, how stupid do these people think we are, you guys, honestly? As if just writing down the name Tom Cruise in an algorithm is going to get you any kind of result. And as if the fact that Tom Cruise is a top bank roller of a hotel that hires children to do disgusting interrogations, how that's not being questioned, how that's not being, you know, asked. That's really what the question should be. Because how can you have such caliber of people in your so-called church, hotel, and they're doing what in the hell they're doing in there? Because that would be a very good question for Miss Anna Sineva to really answer.
Sorry, it's kind of hard to see, but
Yeah,
I was just,
you want to wait till the end and then you'll be the first one to ask?
I think if people have questions, I'm
Waiting
happy
the
to
whole
answer as
time,
we
you guys,
go.
the poor kid.
so earlier you mentioned you mentioned what I believe was the process of auditing.
Yeah,
Is there any like proof that that actually works? And can you also like shed a little light on some of the upper levels, such as like stuff like fade-in levels, which require a lot of money? I also I'm specifically interested in level 3 and the story of Xenu.
Oh,
okay, that last part, I have no idea what that was. I feel like it's one of
oh my Xenu, guys. That last part, I have no idea what that was.
those very weird oddball datums that's circulating out there, and I'm not criticizing you, I'm just being completely, this is but complete nonsense. It says nothing to do with Scientology, Xenu, whatever. I honestly don't know where that originated, but it's not, I'm just saying it has nothing.
Oh, honey, it's okay. It's okay to be confused about Xenu, honey. It's okay. You're not OT3, that's all. Just wait till you get to your OT3. You might catch a cold or die after this question was asked of you, because maybe you weren't really ready to be asked that Xenu question. But you know, it's not nonsense. Don't gluts PR Xenu, because, you know, L Ron Hubbard came up with that idea. And since L Ron Hubbard did come up with that idea, guess what, you guys? She just technically degraded L Ron Hubbard. She technically publicly degraded L Ron Hubbard, saying that Xenu was nonsense and that she's never heard of it and how stupid it is. So imagine being the woman that has the audacity to technically degrade L Ron Hubbard. Trust me, not a lot of people can say what she just said inside of those hotels. If anyone inside of those hotels says that Xenu is BS and is nonsense, they would be literally in so much ethics trouble, their head would be spinning out of their body and landing on a pike. In Scientology, they call that head on a pike. And I think that's where Anna Sineva's head can be found in a pike near you guys. Keep your eyes open for Anna's head that might be, you know, chopped off after this interview.
Nothing to do with Scientology. We don't have Xeno or anything like that. So whatever that
The auditing device. I mean, I talked a little bit about it because in one of my previous classes, I had somebody come in and brought in the auditing machine and showed the class how it worked and stuff. So, but this class hasn't seen that. So maybe you could talk, is that something you shouldn't have done?
No, that's totally fine, but let me respond to the gentleman's question, and I didn't catch your name. I don't know if you introduced yourself or not.
His name is
Okay, so I think, okay, let me respond to all of your points. First of all, just on the auditing and proof that it works, and then you brought up financial point, and then you brought up the level 3 and Zeno. The last one, level 3, Zeno, I am just saying, has nothing to do with Scientology. Whatever that was, forget it. I don't know how to address something that's like a complete nonsense, has nothing to do with us. So
Oh my God, you guys, you just heard it here. Breaking news. Xenu's not a thing. Anna Sineva just canceled OT3. That is breaking news, guys. OT3 has never been canceled. No other Scientologist has ever had the status in Scientology to cancel anything L Ron Hubbard ever wrote. So imagine that you want to destroy the technology that's going to free mankind by canceling the Xenu story. I mean, how can this possibly be? And you just heard it out of somebody that's currently, this is their stance on Xenu, guys. This is the literal stand on Xenu. It doesn't exist and it's a nonsense. So I'm glad that we were able to catch that breaking news, right? It's like, times are changing quickly. Let's really like start telling everyone that Xenu has been canceled, that Xenu's no longer part of anything. And it's just, quote, nonsense. Good job, Anna. I like Anna. I don't know about you guys, but I'm beginning to start liking Miss Anna.
on the auditing part and to prove that it works. So the proof that it works is just basically every person's own individual experience. I've received it. I've delivered it. I'm a trained Scientology minister, trained up to a high enough level that I can provide a lot of types of auditing, and successes of people is what is the proof. Like, it's not to come up with some kind of a result again to be some people pleaser, right? It addresses certain points. I would say there are 3 types of auditing.
What in the, I mean, don't you just love guys? Like, you cannot possibly ask a Scientologist a direct question and get a direct answer because they cannot tell you what they do. They cannot tell you what they do. They're not going to tell you, oh yeah, auditing is where we pay to get locked up against our will. We pay to get asked disgusting questions. We pay to get asked if we've ever raped somebody in another lifetime or this one. They're not going to say that. They're like, no, I don't want to say it like that because then people are going to think we're crazy. So let me just go blah, 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 and, you know, make it sound like it's something that is so, you know, granola. Let's see how granola this gets.
One is to address the trauma that existed in a person's life, the pain and unconsciousness.
Isn't that great, you guys? Auditing is to address trauma. Imagine that you're being traumatized, locked up against your will for hours and hours on end. You guys, I've done over 4,000 hours inside a room locked up against my will. And imagine this woman tells people that me being locked up against my will as a child was so that I could address trauma. Lady, you all were traumatizing us. The audits are the trauma. The being locked up against our will is the trauma. The hours we spend disassociating from being intellectually, sexually, and all manner of other type of abuse that took place inside of those audits is the trauma. In what world is the thing that is traumatizing you the thing that de-traumatizes you? And in what world are you a religion addressing trauma by literally giving people that complete a 2-week course inside of a hotel the certificate and the access that a top tier medical professional wouldn't ever get his hands on until he passes 10 years of actual education for doing what it is that they need to do to address said trauma. So this is shooting yourselves in the foot, you guys. This is the pitch that these people do. Audits are to address trauma. So then how are you a religion? Is religion to address trauma, you guys? Like, in what world is that interchangeable? Oh yeah, you know, what do you have? Oh, you know, I got a lot of childhood trauma. So maybe you could go to a real doctor, or maybe you could go to a person that completed a 2-week course inside of a hotel. Which one should I go? I wonder which one would be better. The one that completed the 2-week course inside of a hotel, or the one that did the 10 years of training? Who would be better? Because again, Scientology is literally not wanting any of its members to end up in any therapist office, doctor's office, psychiatrist's office, because they are mandated reporters, guys. Because they are the ones that are in the profession of understanding trauma, understanding undue influence, understanding coercion, understanding why we would have been so effed up as kids, acting up in the most effed up ways. We all went through it. We all went through it. It turns out, guys, that yeah, being child trafficked as a kid does not leave you with a lot of really great, healthy coping mechanisms. Imagine that. Imagine the shock that some of these so-called executives are having for themselves when they try to make people wrong for having bad coping mechanisms after having them abused their entire childhood. So, in what world is Scientology the traumatizer and the trauma cleanser? Because that is a false pitch. That is a fraudulent pitch that these people can address trauma in their BS cookie cutter, scripted, rote AF BS courses that don't help anyone but an unhinged, depraved animal. And yes, I would know. I was a supervisor. I gave certificates as a 15-year-old, guys. So yeah, never mind. It was a 2-week course inside of a hotel. 2-week course inside of a hotel by a 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18-year-old, which the supervisors were. Because yes, Debbie Cook loved having young teenagers be the supervisors. There was plenty of teenagers where I was training these adults. It was all of us teenagers that were teaching the adults. Imagine the depravity that exists, the impropriety of that. And yet none of these adults have a shred of shame. They all want to sell you a story. It's called Once Upon a Time, David Miscavige, the end. They want to summarize all their bad choices, all their consenting adult bad choices as a collective, right? Because they were all in on it as a conspiracy, as the criminal conspiracy, as the racketeering criminal conspiracy that they are. Imagine Debbie Cook, imagine Mike Rinder, imagine Angie Blankenship, imagine Angie Trent, imagine all these people together. In the law, you guys, is called being a co-conspirator. The law doesn't give an F that someone was called themselves RTC, that one's called CMO, that one's called captain, that one's called this one. All of those glorified child trafficking titles that these adults gave to themselves to really like officialize that they were lieutenant commanders of what? Of a child trafficking hotel ring? That's what you were wearing a military uniform for? So you could really feel you were legit? That's all it took? You grabbed a cosplay clown military uniform to go around plucking kids, as many as you could, every week for 17 years, Debbie Cook. We have you on the stand saying you would have said anything to be let out of that thing so you could just leave the hotel, and you would have said that you love to kill babies and liked it, that you killed babies and loved it. And you know what? The abortion, the amount of abortions that took place under your watch actually put your stand testimony and your actions in a direct parallel line. So I can't wait until we can have you back on the stand and ask you, direct you back to your, court testimony under oath. You said you would have signed that you killed babies and loved it. You killed all our childhoods. You stole our entire formative years, not just of me, of hundreds, if not thousands of kids over 17 years. This woman ran that hotel with an iron fist. All to people please David Miscavage. All to people please her master. So why is Debbie Cook's master that she chose for herself, for her dumb, stupid self, our problem? Because you know what, guys? It isn't. What these executives were doing in their own grown-ass brains tells you everything you need to know about these executives. They can start taking responsibility for their adult choices. They can start coming clean. They can start writing their overts and their withholds, time, place, form, and event in an affidavit to the Federal Bureau of Investigation Crimes Against Children Unit. And just focus on the overts you committed on kids, y'all. Nothing else. We don't give an F. If you locked up another adult in a trailer, we don't give an F. If you locked up a child in a trailer, we do give an F. So let's turn this chapter over because we're done cradling and canoodling adults that were co-conspirators in this wide-ranging criminal racketeering conspiracy that is L Ron Hubbard and adult consenting proteges of him. You're no different. You all were paying to be L Ron Hubbard. You all were paying to speak like L Ron Hubbard. You all were paying to drill to be like L Ron Hubbard. So now go take responsibility for that, because you know what? Congratulations, you did become him. And you made choices that were done under his influence, under the L Ron Hubbard crack. So that is the epidemic of all of these Scientology parents, you guys. They're all parents that were effectively hooked on crack. Something that caused them to be so completely deranged and out of their minds. Inhuman AF. But then they also shoved the crack down their kids' throats to turn them into them. Because that's what our parents wanted us to be like them. Then we would never realize that they were affecting us. Then we would never wake up to the fact that they were abusing us if we just became them. But you know, some of us didn't become them, no matter how MF hard they tried. And tried they did. And wake up we did. Rude as fuck awakening, mind you. Rude AF is what that awakening is, when you realize all these adults are just a bunch of glorified, pathetic, racketeering, unindicted felons that for some reason the Department of Justice is just sleeping at the wheel, snoring, allowing all the child trafficking worldwide to happen, to just filter itself into Florida, because who in the hell has time to enforce any laws in the United States? Who in the hell has time to have the police do their job? I mean, it's children we're talking to. Hope they can pick a better body next lifetime. Hope those kids really do make different choices for themselves next lifetime, since, you know, Miss Anna here was talking all about reincarnation. Well, we don't give an F about your thoughts of reincarnation. We give an F about the felonies that are being perpetrated on kids as we speak today, right now, inside of hotels. The felonies that you are all video recording, taping, transcribing, sending each other all the info. Ask Claire Headley how much info she was given when someone was going to be invited to do the OT levels, since she was at the very, very top of that food chain. Ask Debbie Cook how many of those OT people had criminal records that they helped laundered because they did a 2-week course inside a hotel and they called that a floating needle, and all of a sudden, whatever felony they said was poof, gone, gonzo. Hooray, the technology is working, y'all. I mean, why pay an attorney that went to law school when you can just go to a hotel and in 2 weeks, someone's just going to sit across from you and float whatever felony you want?
And losses and all of the stuff that kind of like weighs on you. Everybody has their own, but we all have some kind of trauma, and it runs our show in present time to a certain degree. Triggers us, makes us unwilling to maybe engage in certain areas or certain activities or certain type of people. Life would be a lot.
So law student of the year here, Anna Sineva, who is not a licensed therapist, you guys. She did go to law school, so she should really know a lot better that what she's blabbing about is nothing but her trying to normalize Scientology being used to address trauma. And in what world is a religion being paid to replace therapy to address trauma with traumatizing treatments that just re-traumatize the trauma person? Because that's what we really need to understand right now, since the word trigger, trauma, it's all over her vocabulary, pitching Scientology as a trauma replacement therapy. So why are people that are, you know, fraudulently selling trauma therapy from completing a 2-week course being allowed to do that?
Better if you could kind of get rid of that emotional ballast or whatever that like prevents you from living your life to the fullest because of past trauma. So we have auditing that addresses and deals with that, and the successes of
They don't address the trauma. They numb the trauma. They force you to disassociate from your trauma, you guys. I would know. They did that to me as a child. When very traumatic things happen to me, unthinkable things that we don't even have to get into or repeat here, that's what was done to me. Disassociate, blame yourself as the victim is their go-to. It's what the policy says to do. Oh, if they tell you that somebody committed a crime against them, just ask them if they've ever committed a crime like that. Nothing like projecting that back to the victim. And imagine this being a child who's having to go and speak to these people that completed a 2-week course inside of a hotel and tell them about somebody committing an out 2D, which we all know what the word out 2D is in Scientology. So this, you guys, this is the trauma that Anna says you just go in there and it just floats. All of a sudden floats, it just goes. And, you know, technology that's very religious in nature, isn't it so powerful? This is a felony. This doesn't float. This doesn't leave you. Those of us that experience these are fucked AF for life on a daily basis. We have to give ourselves therapy to just be in this world. So no, your trauma therapy couldn't have been more useless, couldn't have been more pathetic, couldn't have been invented by an indicted, convicted felon if it wasn't invented by an indicted and convicted felon.
Individual people who are able now to overcome their insecurities and barriers and whatever they were able to overcome something they're grieving over or something like this. That's what it's being done for, to help alleviate that pain. Another type of auditing is the kind of auditing that in another religious denomination you would call a confessional. We actually call it a confession as well. Is again, all of us have done things that we are not happy that we've done, that where we broke our own code of honor and or our own morals or whatever, and it weighs on us as well. And in Scientology, we believe that every person is fundamentally a good being with good intentions, but you make mistakes, and the way our mind works, you make mistakes once, twice, 3 times, you hurt somebody, and your mind kind of blocks it off from you so that you would keep it right, because not a lot of us are able to continue hurting others fully knowing that we're hurting others, and no, we're just going to keep it the same way. So,
well, you are one of them, Anna. So shout out to your lack of self-awareness. Since you yourself are one of those people that are hurting people and hurting people more and hurting people more and never stopping to hurt people because you're so certain that you're not hurting people. So maybe you need to stop being so certain that you're not hurting people and actually start realizing that just the fact that you lock people against their will is already hurting them. And this other part of the pitch, you guys, that I'm so glad she says it, you know, that's why it's good to have Scientologists in the wild under video recorded so they can spout out their platitudes and their shit without a shred of self-awareness. And those of us who have heard the pitch enough times now can see all the holes that are in that pitch. Because what she's pitching auditing is disgusting. And the fact that, again, it's like, oh yeah, in another religion, it's just called confession. We also call it that. Well, isn't that nice? In another religion, they don't have pre-made canned list directly asking for full-blown incriminating information, such as, including but not limited to, have you ever done something sexually perverted with, you know exactly what in the hell I mean? That's not a confession that the Catholic religion does. They don't have the question in the Bible that says, oh yeah, look at this. God said to ask if they committed this felony. So the false equivalent couldn't be more pathetic. If you don't know what that religion does, maybe don't talk about it. Maybe don't make it a convoluted thing. Y'all had technology. None of these churches have technologies. And you know what, guys? In the hotel, they really prided themselves. We're like, we're so much better than all others because, you know, we have technology. They don't have technology. They're idiots. We're the best. We really know what in the hell we're doing here with this technology to data mine felonies out of self-admitted, full-grown adult men and women that want to go pay to incriminate themselves is what these people are into. Simple, guys. Why they're into it, I don't know, and I don't care. Why my parents love it, I don't know, and I don't care. I only care that I was exposed to it. I only care that Countless children around them were exposed to it. They all knew it, and no one gave an F. No one said, maybe not a good idea for the kids, guys. Maybe we really do love it between ourselves, but maybe the kids should be off limits. Maybe shouldn't be messing with them like that. Maybe when they're 21, maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they want to come. Maybe they do have the legal age to consent. Because, if we do it to them like this at 12, they might be real pissed when they grow up. And all of our pathetic excuses are going to be that to them at that point. Pathetic, ridiculous, worthless excuses of the parenting you are all responsible in Scientology for. So I'm tired of the demonizing of David Miscavige, you guys. Start learning the names of our parents. All of them. All of the parents of Scientology are just the child trafficking suppliers of David, Shelly, Debbie Cook, Mike Rinder, and everyone else that was inside of those hotels. Let's start by that. Fact. It's a fact. It's not that, we really want to. No, it's that those adults in this older generation seem to have only been able to want to be about transparency when it was convenient for them to run a hotel. And as soon as they left the hotel, they're like, oh, transparency doesn't matter anymore, you guys. Let's just keep doing what we did at the hotel. Let's just, give ourselves a new image. Let's just really launder our image here. It's not like anyone's going to know what we were really doing in the hotel. So whatever we say, people are just going to take at face value, right, Tampa Bay Times? Imagine the Tampa Bay Times, you guys, that the coverage has been so beyond pathetic. So beyond pathetic that all they ever did was launder the image of the executives that were child trafficking kids at scale and abusing them. Full knowing, video recording the abuse, watching the abuse, grading the abuse. There is no distancing themselves from the disgusting, depraved thing they were about, you guys. There's just none. There's no way for them to be like, I didn't know, you guys. Have leniency on me. Help, mercy. Mercy and leniency is what they would get, you guys, if they were actually coming clean, if they were actually going to the FBI, if they were actually doing a shred of heavy lifting. But apparently this older generation that did get all their kids sucked into this has no appetite for a shred of heavy lifting. They don't care. They just rather go with David did it all, and we were all just so naive and gullible ourselves as full-grown adult men and women that did consent. And the cycle of abuse and the wheel of abuse just continues, perpetrated by another example of another child brought up in Scientology that went to law school, this one, that did almost try to escape that bubble, but wrote back in. Wrote back in to spout lies, wrote back in to have cognitive dissonance and save point, Scientology in universities because, turns out that universities are really great friends with Scientology too. Turns out that, they also have written all manner of ridiculous things down on a piece of paper to purport that whatever in the hell L Ron Hubbard, indicted, convicted felon that he was, is just so very religious according to all our educational universal studies. When are we getting the next check? So all these universities could not be more corrupt, and so are all the police people, you guys. So are they.
We believe that if a person is able to face his wrongdoings in a way that doesn't make him wrong and wronger, but makes you look at that point of time when you knew you were violating your own code of honor, and look at it again with a fresh outlook and rehabilitate your own ability to do it right. So then in the future, you're going to make correct decisions and your past wrongdoings won't weigh on you. That's the confessional. That's another type of auditing.
And you know what, guys? That's exactly what all the Scientology ex-executives should be doing to themselves right now. Exactly what she just pitched here. Go sit in a room. Go think about it long and hard. Every year you were in the Sea Org, what actions did you take that were criminal in nature? What felonies did you commit against children that you were able and willing to normalize? What policies of L Ron Hubbard did you take it upon yourself to apply to children so that felonies that were self-admitted, video recorded, transcribed, that ones that you were CC'd on, told all about, the ones that you were fully implicated with, start writing those down. Because yes, maybe then this whole community can be like, oh my God, look how much change they made. Look how much information they're willing to provide against themselves looking bad. Because they really do want to come clean, because they really do want to be vulnerable, because they really do want to be transparent, because they really do believe in redemption. But apparently, guys, they spent 30 plus years, Marty Rathbun, Debbie Cook, Mike Rinder, all of these guys in there telling people, come clean, write OWs is the way to go. And as soon as they left that threshold of the hotel, oh no, we don't do those OW write-ups anymore. We don't believe in that anymore. No. We used to believe in there when we were very religious, but we're not religious anymore. So make that make sense. How is your amazing religion that you were subjecting children to write down every time they masturbated, because that really was going to set them free, right? So how does that equate to what you're doing now today, which is nothing, which is no Scientology executive taking responsibility or accountability? They couldn't be more allergic to that, you guys. There's not a single example of a Scientology parent or executive that has come forward in a real way with heavy AF lifting to stop what was done to kids. Why not? That's our question. Why not? It would seem to be the logical thing to do. Oh my God, you were in such a disgusting place, and then you came out, and then you really thought about it, like she said here. Then you thought, maybe not a good idea. Maybe I really should take responsibility. Well, you know, we're inviting you all to take that responsibility. We're inviting you all to go take a look in the mirror. We're inviting you all to go visit a therapist's office, aka mandated reporters. So when you start recalling all the disgusting things you were having to do when you were inside that hotel, they can start writing reports to the FBI. And maybe more kids could be saved from being disgustingly dehumanized in the same ways that all of this generation dehumanize the children. It's all of them, you guys. I don't care if you left. I don't care if you're still there. I simply do not give a shred of an F. If you were in the Sea Org, if you were an executive, if you're a Scientology parent, if you gave children to the Sea Org, go deal with your criminal exposure. Don't wait until the feds go knock on y'all's door. FBI. Yeah. So when did you say you came to the US, ma'am? Got it. And how old was your first kid? Okay. Did he go to school? No? Okay. Where's the paperwork you signed to get your kid? Got it. Did you have any financial benefits from, giving your kid to these people? Great. Okay, great. We don't have any more questions for you, ma'am. We'll let you know when we complete our investigation of child trafficking at scale performed by every last Scientology parent and Scientology executive. Stop playing dumb. You went across state lines. You did it all in the hotels. You did it all in your commercial buildings. You found out all about it. You recorded in your audited sessions. You literally have it all recorded because apparently criminally documenting everything, so there's no shred of a doubt that you knew everything. Beyond a reasonable shred of a doubt is the new standard that we're going to set for y'all. The type of evidence these people kept on themselves. Repeat, these people kept the criminal evidence on themselves. They have no shred of care. Let me just write it down. When did you say you committed that felony? Okay, let me send it to the case supervisor. Oh, the case supervisor, oh, he committed a felony last year. Okay, let me send it to the captain. Oh, the captain reads it. Oh my God, there's a video for me here to watch. Oh my God, did he just say that he committed a felony last year? Okay, great. Let's sell him a great package. So yeah, that part is a part that needs to start coming out of some of y'all that were the technical executives. I mean, again, as if any one of these people could be different from the other, you guys. That's what they keep trying to do. It's like, oh, I didn't do it. Oh, I wasn't that bad. Oh, I was a good one. I was one of the good executives. There ain't such a thing, you guys. This was natural selection. If you, as an executive, ended up at the very top, guess what? You had it in you to do what in the hell was expected of you. And every week, you guys, there was a review done. Every Thursday, don't forget, these people were under week-to-week review. If you started screwing up on your post, you would removed out of there. But those people that spend 15 to 20 years inside those posts were doing the criminal activity on a daily basis. So again, bad news for all of you who were full-blown, unindicted criminals that have had years to come clean, years to connect the dot, years to go to therapy, years to, actually figure out something that is not just grifting. Because you know what? The grifting has come easy. Easy, easy, easy. Where can I grift? Where's the next grift? Where do we go? Where do we go, guys? Where's the next grift? Let's go. Let's go. No more grifting. No more doing things that are not. How are you going to make amends if you're grifting? How are you going to purport that you really want to do something for people if you are always getting something on the back end? Because that's what's not making any sense right about now. Decades and decades later, nothing has changed. Kids are exposed AF. AF, like no guardrails, no boundaries, no one can say no, no one can be in any way, shape, or form in disagreement with what L Ron Hubbard wrote on a piece of bullshit paper. Maybe that's not working. Maybe that really needs to change.
I've delivered it to numerous people. This is probably my absolute favorite type of auditing to deliver, because seeing the person go over his own fears and the pain of recognizing that you've done something wrong, but then the real person blossoms in front of you. I truly believe that. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Imagine this woman, guys, that did go to law school, does know law. But then all of a sudden, she goes and works for a place where, you know what? We don't give an F about the law. We don't believe in the law. We believe that everyone is basically good, even the self-admitted felons that are on the record in Scientology hotels admitting to doing this inside of the hotel. Oh, but they're basically good. they can get a pass, they can get help. Why not? You know, they didn't want to do it. We really have a technology here that can help you clear this. This is not clearable. This doesn't go anywhere. This doesn't change. This doesn't evolve. This doesn't get your trauma lifted from nothing, Anna. And here she is telling you her favorite thing to do, guys. After having gone to law school and then having done the 2-week course inside of a hotel, she's like, you know what? I love the 2-week course inside of a hotel. That helps a person way more than if I was a lawyer. Screw being a lawyer. That's just too much paperwork. Who cares about that? I was people pleasing when I was doing that. But you know what I really do love? Asking people if they've ever done this, and then all of a sudden I can really help them find why they shouldn't have done that. And you really see the person blossom in front of your eyes. Where else is there a hotel more of a safe space? You guys, because it is true what they say, you know, the shame is nowhere to be found in those hotels. They can speak about this and know that they're going to get away with it. Because most likely they'll have a child such as myself being made to launder that for them, put on post by Debbie Cook to do that on her behalf while she's charging that adult $1,000 an hour, including but not limited to sit there in front of a child. So yes, America, if you didn't know that this is what Scientology is, it is what it is. Study it up. Listen to what L Ron Hubbard wrote. So you can start becoming familiar with what it is. So that this woman cannot just pitch it and say, oh yeah, it's so great to clean them, and they start blossoming in front of your eyes. I'm sure they blossom, but for all the wrong reasons, these MFers that are there thinking it's all just a jolly old time that we all have in this fraternity of criminal depravities that we're all just wanting to hear about, because why not? Why not go to Anna and get sex checked by her when she's going to be so, you know, make you blossom?
That every person is fundamentally, phenomenally good. And when you help them,
Well, that is a phenomenal lie, Anna. Phenomenal. Every person is phenomenally good. No, it is not true. And especially these ones were not good phenomenally or anything else. They needed to go deal with the police. Why did people like Anna? Why did people like Debbie Cook? Why did people like Angie Blankenship? Why did people like Angie Trent? Like Soupy Shea Gentry? Like Francine Leducer? Like Ricky Jensen? Why did all intervene when they found out about this? Why? Why are all David Miscavage's proteges so pro helping this inside of those hotels? Because we would love to hear right now in this year 2023 how that makes sense. Since majority of these RTC reps had no shred of a certificate or clue what in the hell they were doing. Right, Claire Headley? Did you have a clue? Did you have a clue? Having risen up to the third in command of Scientology, did you have a shred of a clue? Because I wasn't the only golden boy of Shelly and Dave. Apparently, you were more of a golden girl for them since they had you there, third in command, in charge of RTC ethics. Imagine that. The biggest, most outrageous felonies that were being data mined across the entire world, landing in RTC ethics department. Who was dealing with those type of flaps and felonies?
overcome whatever they're ashamed of and help them make the right decisions again. This is priceless to me. It's my most favorite.
Again, guys, like in what world can this woman sit there saying like, oh yeah, let's make different choices, la, 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 la. We've shown you all what these sect chicks wanted to know. We've showed you all the type of incriminating information being demanded. And it's outrageous that a 2-week course inside a hotel can land you to be a know-it-all of know-it-alls that can operate a machine that supposedly floats this type of BS away to make you a good person again. I mean, it's just pathetic. It's just so egregiously ridiculous. The lie could not be more clear AF. It's like, how more stupid can anyone be?
And then the third type of auditing is the one that deals with your own fundamental postulates and goals and purposes, you as a human being. And that again, that's separate, different for everybody. So if you're receiving that type of auditing, you're not doing it to prove to anybody that it works or not. This is for you. So personal testimonies of people that get it is what shows that it works.
Well, and I'm so glad that she said that, guys. Because again, the personal testimonies of all the Scientology adults that are in there loving it inside of the hotel. They're sycophants, they're fanatic, they're infatuated with themselves and L Ron Hubbard and every last executive inside of those hotels. But they're infatuated for all the wrong reasons. Blind loyalty, blind leading the blind, more blind until they're just so blind and dehumanized and disgusting that they cannot even recognize their damn selves.
And then the cost. When the Church of Scientology was first established, the first Scientologists who formed the organization were trying to figure out how it's supposed to exist financially. Some organizations exist purely based on donations. Some organizations, religious organizations, take the so-called ties, right? When you the members pay a certain percentage of their income or whatever. We in Scientology, members decided that the fairest and most reasonable way for us would be for people to pay for the courses and for the auditing to support the organization. But there are many ways of doing this. If financially you can't or don't want to do it like that, you can train as an auditor and get a friend of yours to train together with you, and you audit each other. There's a very minimal fee to just pay for the materials, books, and lectures.
Imagine the ethical compromises that would be happening if every therapist was being required to, twin up with another therapist to do the therapy they're supposed to be doing. What type of ridiculous conflict of interest could come up with having that unthinkable, no boundaries allowed type of relationship between two people? That's the point we're making here. What she's pitching is, in fact, incestuous AF. Now, again, if two adult people want to be that incestuous and want to be like that to each other, we don't give a single F. But you guys, the twinning, like what she's saying here, was not happening so much with adults. It was happening a lot with kids. Oh, you want to go clear? Here, train and audit someone else and have this person do it on you and just do it. So again, in these relationships, the power dynamic imbalance in these relationships is so inappropriate and disgusting that's what I want all of you guys to start asking these people. Why is Scientology all about power dynamic imbalances? That's the question they should be getting. I don't give an F about Sinu. I give an F about the power dynamic imbalances between adults and kids. That's all I care about, because we see how much Xenu has caused a problem for kids, because a lot of jokes can be made about Xenu. A lot of this can be made about Xenu, but the kids that are being abused are not being helped because Xenu is being invoked.
Lectures, the materials to study the course, but then you can audit each other and it's not, you pay nothing for that. So that's just how the church was initially organized, and it proved to be a good way for us. And so we haven't changed it since then.
Great, thanks for that. Reckon you want to add to that? Get your hand up. Do you have a follow-up or? You're good. Okay, so because we're getting close to our finishing time, I'm going to invite the class, if anybody has questions to ask you about what you've talked about or what they have interested. Anybody have a?
Professor, I just want to comment on what you said about the e-meter, the tool for auditing.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to do this is, again, Scientology TV. And then there is a video there, Introduction to Scientology Auditing. And it shows you a video with that device that you're talking about and explains what it is and explains how it works. So I would just advise to do that. It's so much better than me trying to like explain that over here. I don't have the e-meter right next to me.
Sure, that's okay. Who has a question? We have one or two, and that's it. Who has would like to ask a question about what we've talked about, something you were curious about Scientology, something you don't understand? Anybody have a question? They're all deep in thought now, so you know,
I love
questions are.
I hope I didn't overwhelm. I mean, this kind of chit chat, I always like and I appreciate it, but always the visual I think is always better. And I see that gentleman had his hand up again. Go ahead.
He's a scholar. Okay.
So to quote Ron L. Hubbard, you don't get rich writing science fiction. You want to get rich, start a religion. Did he actually say that?
I'm so sorry, you were kind of echoing, or maybe it's on my end.
Say it again.
To quote the founder of Scientology, you don't get rich writing science fiction. You want to get rich, start a religion. Did he actually say that?
Did you hear the quote from L Ron Hubbard?
I don't recognize the quote.
I don't know that. Where's the source that you got it from?
It's okay. It doesn't matter. There's like so much stuff floating around. I mean, unfortunately, we live in the era of the kind of social media where everything you want to name, any subject, any organization, you are going to find some kind of sarcastic mockery of it. And that's just no surprise. You know, it's okay.
Imagine L Ron Hubbard did say that, guys. And then she's just like, oh no, that's just social media. Anyone can say anything. So just be conscientious of how these people try to blame things that are not a thing to create like what they believe is going to be stopping the thought technique. Right? It's like, oh, don't even think about that anymore. Like, who cares? That's not true. I've never heard of that.
But I've not heard that quote. I don't remember. I mean, L Ron Hubbard was a very talented science fiction writer for sure. I don't know what he said or didn't say. Like, he had so many quotes, but I don't recognize this quote. I've been with the church for my whole life and working for it for 11 years. I don't remember that quote coming up anywhere.
You know,
Hubbard has been quoted
Because maybe you're in North Korea. I mean, it's like,
as telling a science fiction convention in 1948. Fighting for a penny, a word, is ridiculous. If a man really wants to make $1 million, the best way would be to start his own religion.
I don't know.
anyways.
Oh my God.
48 was before the church, was before Scientology. I don't know.
oh yes.
Yeah, because
How long ago
was,
you guys-
as we all know, he was a science fiction writer that was inspired by his writings and thoughts
Mhm.
in this direction. Anyways, Anna, I want to thank you very much for speaking with us today and sharing your thoughts on Scientology. Greatly appreciate it. And I wish you all the best. It was nice meeting you for the first time. And maybe we could do this again in the future.
Sure, and if there's more follow-up questions, reach out. I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Anna. I mean, you guys, we were able to break news on this live. Tom Cruise is not an ambassador, and he's, sometimes creates more trouble because of his notoriety. And we see firsthand a Scientology official gaslighting students about what they're doing inside of those hotels. And it doesn't matter what the person that bought the false pitch from L Ron Hubbard wants to say that they're doing. It matters what they're doing without them trying to pitch all of this dysfunction as something beneficial to the public, because that's what we're pushing back on. We're pushing back on any child being exposed to this in any way, shape, or form. How MF dare you, Scientology parents? How do you not use your critical thinking skills to put yourselves in the shoes of your child to really see if you really are going to be benefiting them by exposing them to any of this nonsense? Because we have plenty of us now to serve as a warning to parents that want to do that and play dumb on the side. It isn't going to work anymore. You should all feel so lucky that for 73 years you've gotten away with it. You should all feel so lucky that for 73 years no one has been able to stop you. Well, the kids that y'all abuse will stop y'all. Because we're not going to be here sitting, being reasonable, cradling and canoodling you and being like, oh, you didn't know any better. That's okay. That was how we used to be when we were actually parentified, when we had to learn that our needs were worthless and useless. So let's make sure that that's very, very clear to all Scientology parents. That was us before we got rid of our trauma with real therapists, before we learned our value from real friendships, before we had any type of love that was unconditional, before all the conditional love and bullshit and trauma bonding and gaslighting that you have been all about. Because that is the title of this video, Scientology Gaslighting AF Tactics. So I think the message is clear. Evolve. I think the message is clear. Come to present time. Come to the year 2023. Stop telling us how much you wanted to help before. Because you know what? Nothing has been effective. Nothing has changed what was done to kids. Therefore, your efforts are pathetic and useless. The correct estimation is nowhere to be found. The correct estimation of effort to change realities of kids is nowhere to be found, meaning y'all haven't done any type of self-reflection. And y'all have had the time. So what gives? 18 years later, and kids are still being abused? Damn. In what world did you redeem yourself? If you're still burying all the child stories at the bottom of the barrel. So I thought it was very important to highlight this woman's glib answers, to highlight how Scientology is in the pocket of universities that will give them softball interviews like this, pretending they're teaching their university students anything, where they're just bringing mouthpieces to safe point their depravity and their unhinged BS. everything that was written by L Ron Hubbard is utter BS. And if you want to keep worshiping y'all, then go look in the mirror, because you're worshiping a child abusive, disgusting pig that normalized that for you. So at least that's the one saving grace that all of these disgusting people have for themselves. It wasn't your idea. It was L Ron Hubbard's. But you implemented the idea. It wasn't your idea, the ones that were throwing Jews in the gas chambers. It was Hitler. But who put the people inside the gas chamber? Do you see how there is no separation between Hitler, the book he wrote about how Germans were all so superior and really you should all just believe whatever in the hell that book said, to commit atrocities? You see how that doesn't end up working for nobody? You see how blind loyalty to an idiot makes you an utter imbecile. So stop cleansing your image. There's nothing to cleanse there. If you were involved in Scientology, you are disgusting. And it takes that realization to start changing. It takes that realization to be like, this is disgusting. What in the hell you would have maybe hoped to have been lured to do. But a lot of you are associating with, oh yeah, this is really good. This is really legit. So you're no different from L Ron Hubbard until you stop repudiating L Ron Hubbard and his idiotic pitches. So all this generation is being invited to stop being infantile. Is being invited to become adults for once in your damn lives and start looking at the reality of things instead of trying to gaslight and maneuver things and put all manner of safe talking points and short stories that have clogged the airwaves and the attention units of all the people that are really trying to find out what in the hell is going on and what in the literal hell is Scientology so afraid of. What are all Scientology so afraid of? They're all afraid of being found out as being the child traffickers that they all are. There is no good faith. If you're involved in child trafficking at an industrial scale. Sorry. That's the bad news for all Scientology executives. That's the bad news for all Scientology parents. That's the bad news for David Miscavige on down. Whether you left, whether you stayed, whether you whatever in the hell you did, it doesn't matter. Because of December 7th, 2023, children are all exposed to everything we discuss on SPTV ad nauseum, nonstop, and nothing has literally scratched the surface. And how can it? If only the kids that were abused are the ones that are coming forward and saying, hell, what the hell happened here? It shouldn't just be up to us to be calling out the bullshit. It should be up to y'all that were part of that criminal conspiracy to tell on yourselves. It's your turn to come clean. It's your turn to write your overts and your withholds in a form of an affidavit and turn it into the Federal Bureau of Investigation Crimes Against Children Unit. If you haven't done that, y'all, then you haven't done jack nothing. You're just mentally masturbating there, figuring out each day how you can manage your cognitive dissonance to excuse your pathetic, felony-ridden, disgusting hotel operation that you were either bankrolling with money, donating your own kids to it, or being one of the disgusting, unhinged, perverse executives that acted as full-blown child enslavers. Scientology parents, bankrollers that are donating $5 million to Scientology. If you've donated $5 million to Scientology, you donated $5 million to child trafficking that you were in on since you had access to the hotel. So don't come up here and be like, but I didn't know any better. Because you know what? We don't give an F if you knew, if you didn't know, if you were told, if you bought a false pitch. Miss us with that BS. It's not our water to carry. It's y'all's water to carry. Y'all can carry it. Y'all have a spine. Y'all are adults. Y'all are in your golden years now. Well, start making some amends. And all amends must include no benefit to you. Make amends to those you hurt. Make amends to those children that you screwed over. Do it on your own time. Do it on your own dime. Do it so no one finds out except for the person that was harmed. Enough of the performative theatrics and the image laundering. It's not working. It all stinks. The only ones that apparently are running around pretending it's not stinking are the people without self-awareness. So go to therapy so you can go cultivate some self-awareness there. And actually become enraged at yourself. Become angry at the problem. We would literally appreciate that. We are shocked that we seem to be the only ones disgusted beyond belief with what our life was. Because you know what? No child that ended up in that disgusting, abominable hotel deserved it. So if they didn't deserve it and you were part of the problem, then be part of the solution and stop being part of the nothing to do with me club, which is all we have. All the Sea Org members that leave and are just part of the nothing to do with me club, I'm not there anymore. So you know what? Who cares? I got away with it. Let me rebuild my life out here. Well, you know what? Screw you and your new life. Go to the FBI Crimes Against Children unit. Knock on their door. Slam the wall. Whatever in the hell you need to do to get through to the FBI so that they start doing their goddamn job. That's amends. That's showing that you evolved. That's showing that you changed. In this year 2023, no change, no ethics change. Imagine that you guys were still in the same exact damn condition. Well, if conditions don't change, why are they not changing? That's an out point. We've been yapping and yapping and yapping for decades and nothing changes. So if nothing is changing, why isn't it changing? Perhaps because the most vulnerable kids are still being asphyxiated inside of those disgusting hotels with everyone outside playing dumb. Imagine having the audacity to go through all of that, having a front row seat at all of that dysfunction, and then you come out and then you don't realize a shred of a thing. So yes, this is a message to all the exes that are sitting out there thinking that they've done so much and the, and the under the radars and all of that. You're all part of the same thing. So stop trying to pretend you're so different than anyone else. Did you get involved with L Ron Hubbard? Did you apply standard technology? Did you audit people? Did you give ethics handlings to anybody? Did you give any courses? I'm calling myself out. It's disgusting that I was doing this at the age of 12. I am beyond revolted. I can't take it back. But it's not my shame to carry. It's the facts of the reality, what we're looking at. That's all this takes, some radical truth, so that actually the right thing can be done, so that we can have the right why. Remember, guys, the right why opens the door to a handling Well, you know what? We don't have the right. Why? Because no doors have been opened to no handling. Children are abused. They're abused more. Everyone's okay with it. Everyone pretends that they don't know the policies, yet the policies are all there for everyone to see. Yet y'all spend thousands of hours becoming experts on the policies. Well, go refresh y'all's memories already. What in the literal hell are you waiting for? The knock from the FBI on the door. Well, then fine. Wait for that knock. Wait for it. Because it will come. You won't be a child trafficking unhinged group of terrorists of children for the rest of your existence. You won't be allowed to terrorize children in real time when no one giving a damn around anywhere. Because plenty of people on SPTV are finding out what in the hell is literally going on. And they are pissed and they are revolted and they are disgusted and they have sat here with compassion holding space for so many survivors to speak their truth, to speak truth to power, to speak besides being fair game, abused, yelled at, screamed at, called names, whatever in the hell. We are not afraid whatsoever. We were afraid when we were children inside of those disgusting, maniacal hotels. Then we had a lot to be afraid of. Today, all the ones that committed the criminal activity have a lot to be afraid of. So start picking up the pen, start grabbing the paper, start writing time, place, form, and event of every criminal act that you were committing on American soil inside a hotel. If you want to purport that you really are coming clean and that we all really should give you a standing ovation for your atonement, that is nowhere to be found. So no more trophies and no more cradling and canoodling perverse enablers. Perverse abusers. That's not what this is about. And there's plenty of people that can stand up for kids that don't have anyone inside of those hotels advocating for them. There's no one inside the hotel that advocates for them as we speak. If an ethics officer comes and grabs a 13-year-old and says, come with me, that 13-year-old has to come with that person. And that person can do whatever in the hell L Ron Hubbard wrote down on a piece of paper. Well, you know what? Go check if that's a good idea. Well, you know what? Go check if the FBI was looking at you doing what in the hell you're doing, if you would be so comfortable doing it. Or is it just that you have a sanctuary hotel where no one can check and see nothing? Because your house of cards is all that. The literal inability for people to see inside the hotel. That's why no one can come and criticize you the way the kids, the third generation that had to withstand this shit, that never signed up for it, is calling you out. We're not quivering. We're not uncertain. We're not questioning. You are running a child trafficking hotel. You're all glorified child traffickers. If you were a Scientology parent and you signed your child up for this shit, that's who you are. That's what that choice makes you. Deal with the consequences. Deal with actually being humble and start with some showing that you actually care. Showing that you actually want to advocate now in a new unit of time for present kids that are stuck in there. Why is there no one outside Celebrity Center? Why is there no adults outside any Scientology facility protesting anything? Why? How is that possible that after all these years, there's not one single parent protesting nothing? Because it's the Scientology parents who owe amends, you guys. They owe amends AF. The making up of damage, they have to give back all formative years to every last damn child they trafficked inside the hotel. So how are all of these adults, this older generation, going to deal with that type of a men's project? Well, maybe they can start contacting the people inside of the hotel, and maybe they can all start really speaking between each other and figuring out what in the literal hell they're all involved in. Because nothing changes if nothing changes. And so far, nothing has changed. And it couldn't be more unacceptable. So I thank all of you guys for watching this. We will have more information coming out. And I will see you all extremely soon. Bye-bye.